Welcome to Veterans Forum. I'm here, Fred Smart, from Chicago, Illinois, along with my co-host, Dr. Lee Warren. And our special guest tonight is Edwin Crosby III, who hails from Albion, New York. We're going to do 3 shows on this subject. We want to invite you into our living room. This is a subject that involves the systematic abuse, stealing and fraud of our veterans, their benefits, their jobs. And over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, I was tipped off to this earlier last year. Here in Illinois, we've had a big uproar about veterans, the benefits coming to Illinois veterans being at the very bottom of the scale among the 50 states. This hit about 2.5, 3 years ago, caused a huge uproar. In the last couple of months, we've had the Walter Reed Medical Hospital uproar about the deplorable conditions in Walter Reed, while at the very top we have these penthouses, these luxurious suites with oriental rugs and butlers. And we're here today to discuss something that goes down to, at the bottom, at the core of the root of the systemic computerized processing of the computers, of the codes, of the system, of what makes the Veterans Affairs for Benefits run and hum nationwide. I was astounded when I learned about this. A gentleman out of the blue called me from downstate Illinois, and he said, "Fred, are you aware of this problem, aware of this issue?" He described it over the phone. My jaw kind of dropped. He sent some documents in the mail. We put him in touch with a few other people, which led to Mr. Crosby from upstate New York. And Mr. Crosby, thank you for coming here and spending this evening and these few days here in Chicago. We've had you on the internet, shortwave radio, along with satellite programming a couple of times this week. Hope to get him on the blogs, hope to get him all over the world, because this story is got to be broken open. It's almost like I'm witnessing something, a bank robbery. Mr. Crosby, you took litigation all the way to the Supreme Court after you were tipped off to something that caught your eye from Walter Cronkite's comments on the TV one year. Take us back to 1974 and what caught your eye and what brought you to this day, to this saga in the very beginning.
Thank you for having me here, Fred. Good evening, veterans. In 1974, March, I'm sure other veterans saw this on CBS Evening News, Walter Cronkite. There was a very short and quick story, and Mr. Cronkite said that today the Department of Defense said it would stop putting secret coded numbers called spin codes on a veteran's discharge paper, the DD214, and only a couple 100,000 veterans had these numbers, and that was those with bad conduct and dishonorable discharges. Well, quite naturally, I thought to myself when I heard that, I go, phew, that's not me. I have an honorable discharge. So what happened from that result was, at that time I was working at Griffiths Air Force Base, Rome, New York, as a civilian worker, as a temporary winter hire, they called them there. And I had taken a U.S. Civil Service exam. My name was number 1 on the list, and then when springtime came, they were going to hire 3 people permanently. They always hire you for 6 months first to see if you're a good worker or whatever. And when they did the hiring, they hired number 9, number 11, and number 14. And I thought to myself, this isn't right. If your name's number 1 on a list and you're the smartest one, why are they hiring people with less qualifications? So I started to dig into this to find out why, and of course the only thing I could do at that time was file an equal employment opportunity complaint, and I had to base it on religion. So at least we had some investigation, and by December of 75, their decision came down and said, based on religion, you don't win. And so my attorney, I had an attorney from the Legal Services Corporation in Syracuse, New York, and he filed immediately in January of 76 a complaint in federal court about this, because based on what we heard from testimony, something was very, very wrong. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe I better ask if I have one of these secret numbers. So, and I'll never forget that day, February 2nd, 1976, that's Groundhog Day. There was a blizzard going outside up in the Tug Hill Plateau area in New York, and I called the American Friends Service Committee in Syracuse, New York, who are Quaker people, and I asked them, do you know anything about these code numbers? And they said, why, yes, we do. We have a list of them right here. And they told me where to look on my DD214 to find this, and I said, here's what it says. And they said, well, yours says unsatisfactory handling of personal affairs. And I go, what? And so I went and called my attorney right away, and within a few weeks, March of 1976, we had amended our complaint in federal court to say that I had lost this job because of this secret code number. And had I waited until June of 76, there was a 5-year statute of limitations from the date a veteran gets out of the military, 5 years, and when that ends, you can't go back and do anything. You have that time to correct a record, to ask, to take care of an injustice or whatever.
From 71 to 76.
76. Okay. So I got this in within 3 months of it being the end of the time. So I was very lucky. And the fact that I had found out I had one of these. So that started this odyssey from March of 1976 up until now, that we're still fighting this thing, and I go back into court. Occasionally I reopened this again in 1986 and again in 2001, and brought evidence to the court that the government attorneys had committed all these criminal acts. So this has been an ongoing battle, and it's very frustrating when you have all the proof and all the evidence to be told through some legal phrase or whatever, or a criminal act committed by a U.S. attorney, no, you can't come in the door. And that's just very, very strange.
Now, Edwin, we have here the DD214. Could you hold that up to the camera? This is the discharge papers that a veteran has upon discharge from the service.
That's correct, Fred. When a veteran leaves the military, every veteran is given this document. The DD stands for Department of Defense Form 214, and every veteran knows what it is because the VA asked for it, employers ask for it. I mean, this is what the federal courts have determined to be our passport to civil life. And if you'll look right here on this particular line, I can see it on the back. Yep. It says SPN 411.
SPN 411.
That stands for Separation Program Number, and that is the secret code numbers that we're talking about. If you were in the Army, yours said Separation Program Number. If you were in the Navy or the Air Force, it said Separation Designator Number, SDN. Then it would, of course, have 3 numbers. And these code numbers can say bedwetter, homosexual, paranoid schizoid, repeated VD, lewd acts, character and behavior disorders, unsanitary habits, pregnancy. They go on, but before that phrase comes up, there are key words, and on Plaintiff's Exhibit 2, which I believe they have a good copy of, it can show on the TV, it says that they will not state in words these particular things: unsuitability, inaptitude, unfitness, misconduct, homosexual, or any reason based on mental or moral issues. And this original document, Plaintiff's Exhibit Number 2, this is the original court seal down at the bottom that the court put there, is dated June of 1956. So that's when these code numbers were ordered by the Department of Defense. The DOD ordered the military people to begin placing this upon discharge. But what happened, I believe, and what we've seen from all these documents, that by the 1960s there was rampant abuse of